you're a terrible woman. First, you took our son from us, and now you're after his inheritance too?" My mother-in-law's furious voice shattered the silence in the house, laced with venomous anger. "Is money all you care about now that your son is gone?" I shot back, my hands trembling with rage and grief. "You have no idea how much Danny suffered. Please, just leave." "No, you're the one who needs to go," she snapped. "You lived off Danny's money, acting all high and mighty. This house was built by our son. A leech like you doesn't belong here. My name is Sally, and my life changed forever just a month ago. My beloved husband, Danny, passed away, leaving me drowning in sorrow. When the doctors diagnosed Danny with cancer and gave him a limited time to live, I tried to brace myself, but nothing could have prepared me for how quickly the end came. Fulfilling his wishes, we held a quiet funeral with only those who truly mattered, excluding his parents. Despite being a warm, sociable person, Danny had deliberately chosen to keep them away. That's how toxic they were. Even he couldn't stand them. To put it bluntly, they were nothing more than leeches. From the moment Danny finished high school, his parents told him, "We can't afford to send you to college," and forced him into work instead. "Give most of your paycheck to us," they ordered. Danny's boss, seeing the unfairness of it all, intervened. "You're being used," he told him. "You deserve a better life." He helped Danny move out, speaking to his parents while Danny slipped away. With time, Danny's hard work paid off. He was promoted from a branch office to the main headquarters, earning a much better salary, one that no longer went into his parents' hands. Finally, he had peace. But that peace didn't last forever. His parents came knocking again. And that's when I entered his life. I met Danny at work, drawn in by his kindness and resilience. As I learned about his struggles with his parents, I wanted nothing more than to give him the happiness he deserved. "I just want you to be happy," I told him one day. He smiled and replied, "Thank you, Sally, that means everything to me." And then, he confessed his feelings. "I want to be with you." We started dating. 3 years later, he proposed. Our colleagues were thrilled for us, offering their congratulations. But there were two people who wouldn't be celebrating: his parents. To them, Danny wasn't a son, he was an ATM. Danny hesitated. "They won't welcome me back, let alone you." Still, he wanted closure. "Let's tell them about our engagement. Depending on their reaction, we'll decide whether to cut ties," I suggested. He agreed. When we showed up at their doorstep, they were stunned. Their son, who had vanished after high school, had returned, with a woman. "Long time no see, Mom, Dad," Danny said calmly. "I came to tell you about my engagement." He introduced me, standing at the entrance but refusing to step inside. "My name is Sally," I greeted them politely. His mother's eyes narrowed as she sneered. "So, you finally show up, and it's with a gold digger? You should be putting your family first. If you have money to waste on her, you should be giving it to us." I was taken aback. Danny had warned me about their selfishness, but hearing it firsthand was another thing entirely. His father chimed in. "And what about all the money you haven't sent us in years? You should transfer $50,000 immediately. Don't argue, just do it." It was clear they didn't care about their son. They only cared about his wallet. Danny took a deep breath. "Mom, Dad, I came here to tell you that I'm cutting ties with you." Their faces twisted in disbelief. "What nonsense is this?" his mother shrieked. "Have you lost your mind?" Danny's voice was firm. "No, but you both have. If money was so important to you, you should never have had children. Raising kids costs money, and don't lie about supporting me, you never did. It was Uncle who paid for my education. You just wasted whatever money you had." His parents fell silent, avoiding his gaze. The truth had been exposed. I couldn't understand why they even had a child when they clearly had no intention of caring for him. Had they just been looking for a convenient source of income? Danny continued. "The money I owed you has long been repaid. From now on, I won't send you another cent. You're not welcome at our wedding. I want nothing more to do with you." His parents erupted in fury, shouting insults, but they sounded more like strangers than family. Suddenly, a man from a nearby house stormed over, Danny's uncle. "Enough," he barked at them. "Go inside, now." His parents, still fuming, obeyed, slamming the door behind them. Danny turned to his uncle and gave a deep bow. "Thank you, for everything. I'd love for you to come to our wedding." His uncle smiled warmly. "Danny, you've grown into a fine man. I'm happy for you. I wish you nothing but happiness." That was the day Danny severed ties with his past. As his illness worsened, He would often tell me, "Don't let them come to my funeral, they'll only ask about my inheritance." At first, I wanted to believe he was exaggerating, but after seeing them in person, I realized he was right. So we held a small, private funeral. Only those who truly loved Danny were invited, including his uncle, who arrived with red-rimmed eyes. "If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call me," he told me, pressing his contact information into my hand. "Danny would want you to be happy." It was comforting. I had braced myself to face this grief alone, but knowing someone cared made all the difference. Later, when I opened the notebook Danny had left behind, I found a note in his handwriting. "If anything happens, rely on my uncle." He had planned everything. He had even left instructions about people to contact, places to go, and financial details, ensuring I wouldn't struggle. And, of course, he had also written about the money. Danny had been clear about his wishes. If his parents had attended the funeral, they would have surely demanded every penny he left behind. That's why we kept the funeral private, so I could grieve in peace and sort through his belongings without interference. After our marriage, I had become a housewife, which gave me time to process my loss, but just 3 months after the funeral, my solitude was interrupted by unexpected visitors. Standing at the doorstep of the home Danny and I had built together were my mother-in-law and father-in-law, people who had never been given our address. At first, I didn't even recognize them. It had been so long since we last met, and that encounter had been brief, back when Danny and I first announced our engagement. "Who are you?" I asked, puzzled. My mother-in-law's face turned red with anger. "How dare you not recognize your own mother-in-law and father-in-law?" she snapped. Her loud voice could easily disturb the neighbors, so despite my unease, I let them in. As they stepped inside, my mother-in-law's eyes darted around the house, scanning every detail. "I can't believe our son built such a fine house," she muttered, taking in the furniture, decor, and design. "How much did this cost?" I kept my expression neutral. "What brings you here today?" I asked. Rather than answering, she continued her inspection, almost as if she were assessing the property's worth. My father-in-law, meanwhile, fixed me with a sharp glare. "You may have cut ties with us, but you still should have invited us to the important events," he scolded. "Not inviting us to the wedding was one thing, but to exclude us from our own son's funeral? Do you have any idea how cruel that is?" His voice grew louder, full of indignation. "We only met you once, and Danny cut us out of his life years ago," he continued. "Then, just as we finally try to see him again, we find out he's gone, and you didn't even tell us." I understood their anger, but Danny had warned me about this exact scenario. "They may say things that sound reasonable," he had once told me, "but with them, it's always about money. Don't let your guard down." And just as he predicted, they hadn't come to mourn their son, they had come for what they thought was theirs. "It was Danny's decision," I replied firmly. I refused to waver. Giving them even an inch would open the door to their manipulation. My father-in-law was about to argue, but my mother-in-law stopped him, placing a hand on his shoulder. Then, with a sickly sweet smile, she spoke. "Of course, there must have been a reason Danny wanted a private funeral," she said. I frowned. "A reason?" She smirked. "Rather than wasting money on a big ceremony, he must have wanted us to have it instead. That would have made us happy, after all. So that was their true motive." Then came the demand. "Now, about his inheritance," she continued smoothly. "It all belongs to us, doesn't it? Be a good girl and hand it over quietly." I held my ground. "Danny made it clear in his will, none of his money was to go to either of you." Their smug expressions vanished. "That's impossible," my mother-in-law shrieked. "First, you stole our son from us, and now you're taking what's rightfully ours. You don't know what will happen if you refuse." She took a step toward me, her face contorted with fury. I didn't flinch. "You weren't even there to mourn him. All you care about is money. You have no idea how much he suffered. Please, leave." "You're the one who should leave," she spat. "You were just a housewife, living off Danny's earnings, and now you think you own this place? This is our son's house. Leeches like you don't belong here." I met her glare with a calm expression. "All right," I said simply, "I'll pack my things and leave, but for now, you should go." Hearing that, they seemed satisfied and left without further trouble, but the moment the door closed behind them, I picked up the phone and called Danny's uncle. When I explained what had happened, he let out a deep sigh. "They just never change," he muttered. "So, you're following Danny's instructions?" "Yes," I confirmed. "All right, I'll help you," he said. "I'll come by tomorrow." And we'll arrange for a moving company. Thank you, I said, relieved. Danny had foreseen this. In the notebook he left behind, he had written detailed instructions. If my parents ever come asking for money, sell the house and disappear. Don't let them find you. And so, I followed his wishes. With my uncle's help, I packed my things and moved to a new place. A month later, my uncle shared what had happened next. My in-laws had returned to the house, this time with luggage, fully expecting to move in, but instead of a warm welcome, they were met with a for sale sign. And I was nowhere to be found. Since they had no contact information for me, no knowledge of my family, and no ties to my friends, they had no way of tracking me down. To make matters worse for them, they had already sold their own home, assuming they would take over mine. Now, with nowhere to go, they were left stranded. As luck would have it, my uncle happened to pass by and confronted them. They still owe me money from years ago, he told me later, so I arranged for them to work off their debt. I have a few friends who run businesses, they'll be working under one of them. With that, things finally came to an end. Now, I live a quiet life, free from their greed. Recently, some of my former colleagues reached out. They had heard about Danny's passing and wanted to offer their support. They even spoke to their superiors, offering me a chance to return to work whenever I was ready. My parents, worried about me, reminded me that I was always welcome home. My friends checked in with kind messages and calls. As I flipped through Danny's notebook, I realized something: I couldn't stay stuck in the past forever. I took a deep breath, picked up my phone, and dialed. I'd like to talk about returning to work, I told my former colleagues. I know I'll never love anyone the way I loved Danny, but that doesn't mean I have to stop living. I'll carry him in my heart as I move forward, because that's what he would have wanted. And I won't let him down. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.